I was not inundated with the fact that I was any less a person than anybody else, even though as a child, Washington was a segregated city. I could not go to the local theaters because I was black. I couldn't go downtown because I was African American. I knew that if I went downtown to eat at any of the, couldn't get into the restaurants, but even at the counters, the lunch counters, I would have to stand at a part segregated for blacks.
When you were a youngster?
When I was growing up, yes, as a youngster. Now those things were there, but my family did an amazing thing. They never sat down and pushed this kind of thing into me as something that I should see as a negative way of life that I would have to fight all of my life. What they taught me was, first of all, if you were going to be whatever profession you chose, you had to be twice as good as the white person. That twice as much was expected of you, and you had to be very good at what you did. You never started something you didn't finish. You never made excuses for yourself. You stood up to what you believed in, and you were as honest as you could possibly be in your way of life. That also, to value myself as an individual, to value myself as a person, to keep us out of that racism, the physical racism. They would give us lunches before we went downtown. We were fed before we went downtown, so we didn't have to take those indignities. They shielded us from those indignities in many, many ways. The school system was so superb, I didn't have to worry about that, because actually the best school system Washington, D.C. has ever had was under the segregated system. And so there were the three great schools, Dunbar, Cardozo, and Armstrong, where these wonderful teachers were. So we had the best education there was. Dunbar at one point was described as the Phillips Exeter Academy of Washington, D.C. It was so superb. So I don't think I grew up with any sense of myself as being less of a person than anybody else there. I was aware of it. It was there. But I did not let it consume me. I did not let it own me. Because we were taught, if you let these things own you, then you are giving them more importance than they really deserved. And that we had to own our own lives and own ourselves.
But this is only after you became an adult were you able to articulate that ownership of those feelings. As a child, it's difficult for children to process experiences right away. It may take some years before they can fully understand the impact of racism or segregation or whatever. So that's interesting that you were able to somehow put that in a different perspective.
Right. We had a happy life. We had our own friends. We had a community of people whom we enjoyed. My brother had his friends. It was such a strong community. If anything happened to me or any one of us, the neighbors were there to help take care of the situation. When you came home in the evening, the neighbors were sitting on their porches, usually the older people, and when you went down the street, you had to say, "Good afternoon, Miss Jones, good afternoon, Miss Brown," right straight through. And when you got home, if you missed one, your mother would say to you, "You didn't speak to Miss Green." So we were taught the strength of character, and the business of ownership is something, it's what I'm talking about now. I can put that into words now, but I really felt no less a person than anybody else. I knew the segregation was out there. I knew that world was out there, but I never let it get me down because I had such a wonderful world that I was living in with my parents.